South Africa is once again confronting a high-stakes legal and political moment as senior officials linked to one of the country's most critical metropolitan structures prepare to spend a long weekend behind bars after the court postponed their bail hearing, in a move that underscores the gravity of the allegations and the growing pressure on the justice system to act decisively. At the center of this unfolding case is Julius Mkhwanazi and Kagiso Hirutla, two high-profile figures whose arrests have already sent shockwaves through governance and law enforcement circles, and whose continued detention is now being framed by prosecutors as necessary to protect the integrity of the investigation. The state's firm opposition to bail is not a routine procedural stance. It reflects a calculated legal position based on the seriousness of the charges and the potential risks involved, particularly the concern that the accused, given their positions of authority and influence, could interfere with witnesses or obstruct the ongoing investigation if released at this stage. This argument is critical because it shifts the focus of the case from individual allegations to the broader question of institutional vulnerability, highlighting the possibility that the very structures meant to enforce accountability may be susceptible to manipulation from within, especially when those implicated occupy senior roles. For the court, the decision to postpone the bail hearing effectively signals that more time is needed to assess the full scope of the charges, the strength of the evidence, and the potential risks associated with releasing the accused, a process that is essential in ensuring that the legal proceedings are both fair and robust, particularly in a case of this magnitude. However, beyond the courtroom, the implications of this development are already being felt as the case feeds into a wider narrative about corruption, governance failures, and the erosion of trust in public institutions, issues that have increasingly dominated public discourse in South Africa and are likely to play a central role in upcoming political debates. What makes this situation particularly significant is the intersection between law enforcement and municipal administration, because when individuals in such positions are accused of serious crimes, it raises fundamental questions about oversight, accountability, and the effectiveness of internal controls designed to prevent abuse of power. The state's concern about potential witness interference also suggests that the investigation may involve a broader network of individuals, meaning that the current charges could just be one part of a much larger case, a possibility that adds another layer of urgency to the proceedings and increases the stakes for all involved. From a legal perspective, the postponement of the bail hearing is a strategic moment, as it allows both the prosecution and the defense to prepare their arguments more thoroughly, ensuring that when the matter returns to court, it does so with greater clarity and precision, particularly regarding the evidence and the conditions under which bail could be considered. At the same time, it is important to recognize that both Mkhwanazi and Hirutla remain accused, not convicted, and that the legal process must be allowed to unfold without prejudice, ensuring that any conclusions are based on evidence and judicial findings, rather than public perception or political pressure. Yet, even at this stage, the case is already sending a powerful message about accountability and the rule of law, demonstrating that individuals in positions of authority are not immune from scrutiny, and that the justice system is willing to take decisive action when serious allegations arise. For the public, however, the situation is more complex, because cases like this often reinforce perceptions of widespread corruption, even before all the facts are known, creating a tension between the need for accountability and the risk of undermining confidence in institutions. This is why the coming days will be critical as the court prepares to revisit the bail application and potentially reveal more details about the charges, the evidence, and the broader context of the investigation, all of which will shape how the case is understood both legally and politically. Ultimately, this is not just a story about a postponed bail hearing. It is a story about power, accountability, and the resilience of the justice system. Because when the state argues that individuals must remain behind bars to protect an investigation, it is making a statement about the seriousness of the threat it believes they pose, and that statement carries weight far beyond the courtroom. As South Africa watches closely, the outcome of this case will not only determine the fate of the individuals involved, but also send a signal about the strength of the country's commitment to transparency, justice, and the rule of law.